Alright. Game 1 is starting up here. That's it. I'm done. That's it. I got a cast. Game number 1.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
Of the finals of the 34th European Open Cup. Thank you very much, YARP, for the 13-month resub. In the bottom right of Death Ore, we have the blue Terran, Mal's HeRoMaRinE. And in the top left, as the red Terran, it is Liquid Clem. Thanks for the resubs, guys. I do this full time, and resubbing is the best way probably to support me. So I can continue doing this full time. I do stream these cups, most of the European ones, right, on Mondays. Sometimes I do the Korean one just because I like Korean players, but it is at like 6 in the morning, so you know what I mean. It's tough. Anyways. And then I usually stream 5 or 6 days a week, but with the ESL DreamHack stuff happening, I am casting this Thursday and Friday, I believe. So schedules can change. So, let's talk about the history of these guys. HeRoMaRiNE's TvT has never been bad, I'm pretty sure. Although you could say in comparison to Korean TvTs, it's bad. But, I mean, that is a lot of the product of the environment. Europe has not had a lot of super top tier Terrans for a while. Euthermal was the only one, I feel, for a while, because at one point HeRoMaRiNE was more focused on studying. And then he kind of came back as a streamer, and it was like, oh wow, I'm good at this game even when I stream. And then he's like, you know, he's here now doing what he does. Super cool. And then HeRoMaRiNE obviously is not one of them. So there's HeRoMaRiNE, he's Euthermal, but even Euthermal's having trouble right now with his, he's like an arm injury. And then Soul never really ended up quite, you know, he was there, but he never quite climbed the greatness, so he's still working on that. And, oh, who else would there have been? I guess some of the old guys who might have retired. Marine Lord, right? He retired and he's actually back, but, you know, at one point he was there, and, oh, what, like Lucifron? Like, I'm starting to really reach back the years. Yeah, 2013, 14, that's maybe too far ago, but you get my point. It's kind of just the fact. It was kind of just a thing we all knew about Europe. There weren't a lot of Terrans that were playing high up on their ladder. It was all with the Zergs. And now with, I mean, still with Euthermal's injury, whatever, you have Euthermal, HeRoMaRiNE, and Clem. Clem especially adding a lot, I think, of variety to the ladder. It's actually not too bad, but it's just not, it's not Korean ladder, which is all Terrans all the time in every league. Whenever I ladder in Korea, it's a bit of a meme. But HeRoMaRiNE does have better TvT than Clem. It's kind of a fact. Although, ooh! Clem won that. Clem won that little mini fight there, the little micro battle. Nicely done. So HeRoMaRiNE has better TvT. They've got the world's best TvT, and I only emphasize that because I do think this is one of the matchups where maybe HeRoMaRiNE could falter. I think in order of likelihood of where HeRoMaRiNE loses a best of 5, it is TvZ first, then TvT, and last TvT, because his TvT actually looks fucking unbeatable sometimes. So there's a maybe there. Clem did wound him last time they were in the finals together, so I could see him getting a map again. But the stability that HeRoMaRiNE has as a player, as a whole, it just works so well in TvT. And Clem's perhaps younger, risk-taking nature doesn't quite pan out as well for him. So, you know, it's actually a lot like a Maru versus Innovation play here. Where, yeah, Maru's TvT isn't his best, right? And we're talking pre his own arm injury. So, but he had some flashy moves, and he did win a very epic best of 7 TvT, and that was awesome. But even now, people will say, well, theoretically, TY was the better player. So, it's what I feel right now. HeRoMaRiNE is like, yeah, I'm supposed to win, but Clem could do something really fancy. I believe in it. one day he'll win against HeRoMaRinE at best of 5. Maybe not today. And, of course, the other thing I'm not really specifying, but I do mean to, is that Open Cups, okay? There's something extra special about Open Cups in HeRoMaRinE. Don't know why, there just is. Third CC on location for HeRoMaRinE, as they both understand each other's builds. They got a lot of scouting done, enough scouting done. And a third CC on the high ground for Clem. Already a bit of a victory there for HeRoMaRinE, even though his opener was more committed to doing an attack, and it did not work out. His faster third is working out really well, and you know what? Even with that factory expand versus monarch expand, HeRoMaRiNE's still ahead in workers, so there you go. Compositionally, what we're looking at, 2 Ravens for both parties, 2 tanks for both parties, just a handful more Marines for Clem, slightly faster stim for HeRoMaRinE. This third CC is probably the biggest difference right now between the two. That and maybe HeRoMaRiNE's map control, as he sets up units in every attack / drop path. Really nice. Scan is going to see the edge of the SCV's mining. I think he was scanning to see the third CC. No, because his third CC was also done. No, I'm actually not sure what he was scanning for. Right in the main like that. Maybe the Vikings popping out. The amount of barracks that are already done. I can't see Clem thinking that it was mech. I mean, you still want to scan, I guess, but it's highly unlikely either one of these guys will go for mech in a specified, in my opinion. But regardless, the scan did see the third CC mining. So he has knowledge of that, and it's all stim researching, so he has knowledge of that. And it actually missed the extra barracks, but saw the starport, didn't see the Viking numbers. Another scan reveals the Viking numbers. It is higher for HeRoMaRinE in just a second. Just a second. Now it's going to be 6-4. So Clem, I don't know, he's not really going to find anything. That's not going to happen. Nope. Bounce off each other. Clem down 6 workers. Up just a little bit in the army supply. Gonna go for some Raven harassment, but HeRoMaRinE has spotters in every direction. Did he see it? He saw it, but did he see it? Tank apparently is in range a little bit, but auto turrets deal damage pretty darn fast. 6 SCVs go down instantly. HeRoMaRinE is going to respond to his Vikings, and this is where it's a little bit risky to do this stuff. But it looks like Clem is able to evacuate fast enough. The Vikings will not be able to find him. I don't think, even when they turn, I think they're okay. If they don't turn, if they just think that the bottom left is enough. Oh no, I was wrong. One is going to go down, the other ones will survive. Okay, I was half correct then? We'll say that. Still sucks for Clem to lose a Raven. The full energy Raven, sure, but just in general, Raven going down sucks. So HeRoMaRinE still looking pretty good, but Clem, at the very least, you can say by being the aggressor, even if it's not really gonna find anything, it's not gonna find an opening, it still is you taking the control. You're the one setting the pace and making the other person react to you. And that's pretty important in TvT. So he's going to continue being the one out on the map. HeRoMaRinE more so biding his time, waiting for combat shields, which is not done, and getting his 4th set up. I think now we'll see him move on the map more often, I think. It's been kind of passive. Isn't TvT really cool, you guys? Oh, they forgot to put Game Hard on. Those silly billies. How are they supposed to know how many STDs were killed in this game? Wait, no, wasn't it on? Oh, my numlock's off. There we go. There it is. Smart. He's smart. Clem actually took a bit of a boost there because the STDs are transferring. I cleaned my keyboard yesterday, guys. Oh, it was so gross. I was too embarrassed to take a picture. So much cat fur. And now it's so nice looking. Anyways. Still that passive part of PV or TvT. Not much happening. So when this happens, when there's a temporary lull in the action, or in this case, a gigantic lull in the action, the next step of TvT is starports. It's starports and more starports. Like, it's not the end-all be-all. It's not like you beat a Zerg player to Banelings and they only have Lings. But the person who goes for the starports faster and gains that air control faster is theoretically, like, is supposed to have the better army type. And then they add on Liberators and hell, maybe even Battlecruisers faster, and that is the ultimate TvT. But it doesn't really usually work out that way. If you are later into the Vikings, if you're in a little more of a desperate position, outmaneuvering your opponent can be really big. As seen here, actually, Clem, with his one Raven still alive, added an Interference Matrix to this little run-by, drop-by. And it is so many Marines. He's even going to grab the CC. The SCV repair not good enough. And that was very unfortunate. Maybe if they were fully repairing, fully surrounding, they would have been able to save it. Oh, look at these upgrades. Look how fucking close they are in this game. Jesus. Clem bops a third orbital, which is annoying, but certainly at the end of the game. And back to my point about the Vikings versus mobility. Mobility is critical in TvT, even when you got the better army. HeRoMaRinE has more Vikings, and he takes out another medevac full of tanks after already pouncing on top of the tanks of Clem on the ground. This is not started off very well. Interference, which is even coming down, as well as an auto turret. Nope, that's denied. But 2 tanks out of the equation. Now only 1 firing, and HeRoMaRinE, I don't know, maybe he just pushes a win, honestly. Clem made a huge mistake by leaving his tanks out in the open like that. I think he went from something like 10 tanks, 13 tanks to 3. Liberator's not going to help, and with 1 swift gut punch, HeRoMaRinE is going to win this game. Oh my god. Stop it. Clem knows he's dead, but this just is like one of those TvTs where you're like, well, I'm pretty sure no one was losing until someone lost, and that's fucking bullshit. You need to rage with the game. This game's stupid, I don't like it. Clem knows he's dead. GG. They can't believe that happened. So fast. GG. I haven't even opened this soda yet. That's how I don't know. That's how done I am with how good HeRoMaRinE is. It's like, leave some room for the casters to actually second guess you. Could you? Could you leave us any room to hype up this series? Are you comfortable, Ziggy? Look at this cat. Look at his motor going. Whenever you can see him breathing really hard, it's because he's purring. Second game is going to be on Pillars of Gold. The top right, up 1, he is HeRoMaRinE. In the bottom left, the Red Terran, we got Clem. Imagine sniping an orbital with a fully maxed out army and retreating and then suddenly just losing. It's not like you sacked your army on that orbital. You just bopped it and you left and you're like, haha! And then you just died anyways. I'm sure there's some Fall Guys analogy I could be making right now, but that's the, this is bullshit. I should never lost that game. Well, I shouldn't have lost the game there like that. It was such an even game. And then, all of a sudden, all the tanks were gone. And you're like, oh no, tanks. Tanks are so important in this matchup. And it's like, oh man, I made a huge mistake. I lost like 5 tanks there. Well, luckily I have 3 tanks in the middle of the choke, so that should be fine, right? Boom! Ravens come back. Didn't do anything for 7 minutes in this game. Finally come into play to cancel out 2 of those tanks. So, HeRoMaRinE once again going to be going for the factory expand. Has kind of done a little cheeky thing here to hide his barracks. Cheeky. Clem's gonna go for the 1 racks expand. And the SCV is not going to panic and then immediately leave. And is going to actually scout around. But this didn't only have the potential to freak out your opponent. It also now has a bunch of production that is not at all vulnerable to tank attacks. I think as an added benefit, it's not the benefit. Unlike Clem, where if tanks did get here, his... Yeah, his barracks are under fire, yeah. This Reaper scouting around for him. Trying to catch the opponent's Reaper, I guess, coming across, but Clem's like, nah, I'm not doing anything. It's really not on him to do anything from here on out. Well, for the next minute and a half. Like, he scouted it was a factory expand, so why would he ever be the one to move out? Maybe to get a scout to see if it's, like, more committed on one base, but he saw the gases were not mining as much. And while that can still afford you a starport, it's just so much safer to stay at home with that Reaper, build a bunker, and then put all your units in the main. It's so much safer. If they are one-basing you, it doesn't even matter if you don't scout, if you're protecting yourself. Which, it's unlikely HeRoMaRinE was to would be to one base. So it's safe to assume, usually, but that said, HeRoMaRinE did literally one base Geralt earlier in TvT. So... yes, you can only assume so much. Well, HeRoMaRinE is going to be setting up for a more aggressive attack off of this expansion. So, you know, like last game, you can see factory expands with a little bit of, like, harassment, 2 Reapers and a Hellion, 2 Reapers and 2 Hellions, whatever. Into Raven tank. Defensive setup. You can also see this. HeRoMaRinE going for a medevac. But if you see a medevac this early on, they're going to be aggressive with it. Not keeping that at home, doing nothing. Medevac's going to pick up Marines and a tank and find an abusive position. It doesn't deal game-ending damage, basically ever. Just the way tanks work, and a handful of SCVs can actually interrupt this attack, can help take care of it. But it can get upwards of, like, even 10 SCVs if it's really mishandled. Or it can really mess up your opponent. In this case, if you got the canceled 3rd CC, that'd be pretty worth it. I don't know if it's exactly what HeRoMaRinE wanted to have happen. Cyclone locks on to the medevac, which is nice for Clem, but the Cyclone then not gonna die. Neither is the tank. Both of them microing about as well as possible there. HeRoMaRinE holds on to his big units, his Cyclone even. Very little health, but alive. And that was just a little bit of something. A little bit of spice. And the rest of the build continues. HeRoMaRinE has a slower 3rd CC, and this time not in location. I'm not going to take that risk. But it's only so much slower. We got single Raven, HeRoMaRinE going double Raven, with Clem going for a single Raven. And both of them, as expected, going into bio. Clem's stim is like, what, 25, 30 seconds ahead? I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. HeRoMaRinE likes his Vikings, and they are certainly very good in the early game. They are something you are affording. You gotta sacrifice maybe a bit faster production. You gotta sacrifice medevacs, obviously, to get those Vikings. They can backfire, but there is not really any arguing that Vikings are a very crucial part of TvT, especially when you have that Raven lead as well. So HeRoMaRiNE's ground army, the amount of Marines he has, might not be as good as Clem. They won't have stim, they are gonna have later combat shields. But his Air Force and his ability to stick somewhere, wherever he sieges up, he's going to be stuck there. It's going to be very difficult for Clem to actually crack. Unless Clem just kills a Raven immediately. Alright. Counter auto turrets from Clem even saves his Raven, although just barely. The tanks do get into a decent position and do take out Clem's forward tank. So while that was a little bit of an awkward start there for HeRoMaRiNE, Clem is still going to have to deal with this. Drop in the main as well. Gonna be cleaned up. 5 SCVs go down. Medevac not being targeted. There we go. Finally goes down too. But this is actually still fucking working. Alright. Cool. So like I said, right? Like that's not a lot of stuff, but with 5 tanks now, that's still a lot of stuff. Like it just, if he had a surround, if he had a concave, maybe Clem holds this, but it's too much. Okay, there's a bit of the concave I was talking about finally coming in here. And it's just barely gonna be enough. God, stop. Okay. Alright, Clem does hold. I was so worried. I was like, is that really all of his army? Jesus. But of course, he was handling a medevac drop in his natural, so whoo, there goes the concave. And that's the weakness, right? The tanks are supposed to be covered by Marines. And they don't do well the more spread out their opponents are. So HeRoMaRiNE was supposed to have some weaknesses there, but it also is one of those things where we've all been in those positions where tank Viking is entrenched and you can't break out of it, and it feels like it's just an inevitable loss. Clem breaks it at the cost of quite a few SCVs, because there was harassment going on as well. And at the cost of quite a few of his own tanks, because he did get them taken out at the start of the attack. But now it is Clem's time to shine. He's got a little bit more mobility with the amount of Marines he's producing right now. And he does have those combat shields over his opponent, so maybe mobility can make it work here. HeRoMaRiNE out of position is going to accidentally let Clem into the natural. Nope, just kidding. Why did I ever doubt HeRoMaRiNE? He has Vikings. That stopped the medevac drop into the main. One well-timed tank as well on the high ground really helping. Auto turret's gonna help, Marines are gonna help. Clem desperately wanted to take advantage of this position, but I think he overstayed his welcome. So much. He's going to be able to retreat, but he did not actually find a way to break through HeRoMaRiNE's defenses. He got close, but not quite. HeRoMaRiNE has had such an economic lead. It's kind of scary. Big spikes there. But Clem has those faster upgrades. So 2-2 is already underway. That's a pretty big deal in TvT. And HeRoMaRiNE's also still working on his own tank count. I mean, Clem might have lost a few in the beginning of the fight, but he was the one that eventually cleaned up HeRoMaRiNE entirely, and HeRoMaRiNE was rallying tanks. So HeRoMaRiNE's tank count's actually the one that's really not super convincing. The army supplies are similar because HeRoMaRiNE has the Viking advantage of the Raven, but his actual ground army is not super great. 2 tanks would actually be vulnerable even if they did siege against this. Kind of naturally spread just by unloading from the medevac, but with Marines responding, Clem decides not to continue unloading there, but rather unloads into the main base. And then maybe see the Liberator pop out, set up some defenses against that. Gonna grab a couple of SCVs, but HeRoMaRiNE with this center tower is not going to really be surprised with the attack on the right side. In fact, he pounces on top of it. I think surprising Clem right there, who is at a very low number of medevacs and is now losing his tanks as well. Concave on the high ground for HeRoMaRiNE as he continues forward. Clem is forced to stand his ground and try and protect his tanks, but that was not an ideal situation. Clem once again found retreating and losing all of the slower units, losing all of those tanks. Another one bites the dust, and a 4th CC might be on the way. Clem's tank count has been reduced to 2, so his economy isn't bad, but he really needs to start producing those tanks. Unfortunately, they both are on 2 factory production now. What is the Marine count? Oh, Clem really doesn't have that many more Marines. So that 2-2 advantage he has, I'm not sure it's going to be so impactful. Positioning is key, though, in TvT, and as long as he can keep these high grounds and keep these chokes on his side, then he will be okay. HeRoMaRiNE is now setting up his own 4th, turning into a planetary. Clem is losing medevacs once again to the Vikings. He catches the tanks a little on siege there from HeRoMaRiNE, gets a better concave as well with his 2 upgrade. Well, jeez. Oh, God. He actually had +2 weapons. His +2 armor was not quite done. But that tank on the backside, maybe he didn't see it. Maybe he didn't think it was going to be the difference maker. Clem does take another bit of a loss overall in supply, even though he holds. Scan to the top left is not actually where HeRoMaRiNE's 4th base is. So this might be giving Clem some false hope. This depot's been there from the beginning, so he just doesn't know it's over here. He might suspect because he did see the 4th being built.
Coming through.
This might give him a better idea as to where to expect the attacks or where to try and harass his opponent. And this Marine's gonna get. Okay. It got killed, but they also got the scout. HeRoMaRiNE with a superior Marine count also has evened up upgrades. So Clem is again faster to +3 attack. That's gonna take a while to kick in, and I think he just needs more units. Concave's not bad for Clem, but he's running up a hill into a choke with 4 tanks against only his 2. HeRoMaRiNE is gonna be taking this game, man. It's happening slowly but surely. Digging away at Clem's defenses. SCVs are pulled in a last-ditch attempt to hold. Maybe that'll be enough for now. 11 SCVs isn't actually the worst loss ever. But HeRoMaRiNE's doubling the army supply just about. Liberator comes in too, and those Marines all one-shot, of course, from the Liberator. Can't really sacrifice their lives. They don't really want to do that. There's not too many Marines left over to sacrifice on top of that Liberator. HeRoMaRiNE's just looking for the actual kill. He's looking for the artery right now. He's like already hacked up his body, but just not to find the artery to really make this guy bleed out. You're dying! Just die already, is what HeRoMaRiNE is saying to Clem. If Clem had any action on the other side of the map, if he had a single drop attacking this 3rd, it could be a much more interesting game. But with absolutely nothing going in Clem's favor aside from a +3 upgrade and his inferior army counts, you can't even really call that an advantage. 3rd TC is going to go down, it looks like. GG is called. HeRoMaRiNE with 2-0. Someone stop this guy. I think we're going to have to call in Raynor and Cyril. Be like, look, it's kind of getting insane. Just come in, just come on. Kill this guy. You don't need the points, we know that, but just do it. Just come on. Oh my goodness. It's 70 degrees? What is this, winter? Hello? It is technically not even September yet. I wish I could show you Apollo too. Maybe I can. No. Oh, there he is. There he is. He's got his little bed. potentially, likely, the last game. Game 3. In the bottom left, on Ice and Chrome, he is HeRoMaRinE. And in the top right, we have Clem. Clem was able to strike back in the last finals they played. He got a single game, game 3. And then lost game 4 in a very silly game, to be fair. One that easily could have gone in his favor. But he didn't, so... I do believe he can take a map off of HeRoMaRinE, or maps on a good day. But I think he needs to be the one to really cause chaos. And while I think Clem does, you know, do well in chaos, because his micro is such a strength, really, I don't really think HeRoMaRinE falters that much. It's like, yeah, Clem's good, but it's not like HeRoMaRinE's bad at it, you know what I mean? Like, I do think it is Clem's strength, but it's not HeRoMaRinE's weakness, alright? How many ways can I say this? Basically, if Clem did cause a bit of a weird game to happen, he opened up with double gas, he opened up with a proxy starport, he went for a cheesy tank push, you know, whatever. Like, I think that might start favoring him a little bit, but it's funny what happens in TvT compared to the other matchups. It's such a different feeling, this mirror matchup compared to the rest. Which, you know, obviously all matchups are different from each other, but in TvZ and TvP, there's an expectation that not much will happen for the first 5 or 6 minutes, or that if something happens at 8 minutes, you will have some knowledge of it happening. It'll be a timing that you're very familiar with, it'll be telegraphed in some way, it'll be scouted because you're starting to butt heads more, like, whatever. But in TvT, it feels like so much more uncomfortable. So even the most confident players show a little bit of worry in this matchup, because the first 2 minutes are not guaranteed. The first 5 minutes are absolutely not guaranteed. It doesn't really let a player just be a macro player. Kind of like PvP. Like, if you're a macro player, if Showtime's pure macro all the time, every day of the week, and all the other matchups, he can't really do that in PvP. You had to mix it up. You had to do something. So it's like Clem, he could try and just think that he's going to be the first one to attack, the first one to do something aggressive. He could try and just be super confident and get a 3rd CC and 4th CC on location. He could do all those things and probably be okay with it. But it's actually really not a guarantee. HeRoMaRinE, in fact, is the one opening up with a factory expand, which can lead to aggression. So I feel a little bit of his pain. You know, he admits that TvT is not his best matchup, and I feel like I know why. It's the same reason why a lot of Terrans on ladder from bronze to masters also don't like this matchup. It's that, yeah, I'm generally a confident person. I generally feel good against Zerg, even when I get raffle stomped by Zerg. Don't feel confident versus Terran. It's scary. And then when like 8 minutes or 9 minutes comes by and you're like, oh, finally, it's not that scary point of TvT anymore. It's just Marine Tank versus Marine Tank. Suddenly the fucking Doom drop on your main, you're like, wow, super cool. TvT's awesome. Now this is one of those earlier attacks that I was kind of highlighting, I was kind of alluding to. It could be aggression from HeRoMaRinE. He hasn't really done the 3 Reaper 2 Howling attack, right? He did a medevac drop, and then the previous game it was just a very simple 2 Reaper attack. This stuff can kill you if you don't take it seriously. Which Clem is taken very seriously. In the bunker, he should be safe. Just needs to wait for production to kick in. Oops. Some grenades trying to save those units from the cyclone. He's gonna jump on top of the Hellion, why not? Oh, because his own cyclone is here. Ooh, and the lock-on was good, but the high ground was even better. Clem with the counter lock-on is going to win this war. Cyclones are so silly. The cyclone was ended in Clem's favor. Not that it's the really most important part of TvT. These guys probably won't be showing us any mech versus mech, much less cyclone versus cyclone, which has happened now twice with special versus TY, I believe. I don't know what it is about them and doing that. Clem's gonna go for the Vikings this time. Well, asterisk, actually. He went for 4 Vikings in the first game, which makes sense. It's a good amount. It's like the TvT amount. We'll see if he dedicates to 6 or 8. Only 1 Raven to 1 Raven. HeRoMaRinE is the one that really changes it up as far as the control of the air goes. He's not left his starport to just idle on a reactor and produce starports. He is using starport to make reactors. So he's going to have a stronger marine presence. He's actually kind of flipping the script right now, and I hope Clem's going to be able to adapt to that. If he's kind of gotten into the groove of what HeRoMaRinE has been trying to do and trying to abuse, the Viking Raven superiority, he's going to be in for a bit of a surprise. And I also worry that maybe this is not where Clem's the most bestest. I don't know if he feels super comfortable being the Viking Raven guy. It does kind of slow down your composition more than just Marines who are, let's admit it, they're expendable. You just throw away Marines, whatever. I'll replace them pretty quickly. When you're the Viking tank guy, I should say, not really Ravens, but you're the Viking tank guy, you're looking to get into a decent position without being found, without being pounced on, and then keeping that position, which is just different. It's just a different way, a different pacing that goes along with it. So, yeah, this is like, if you were to reverse the names, it would make total sense with the last 2 games we had, but it's actually Clem being a little more that guy. His Vikings do technically give him that vision advantage that tanks desperately need, but since scans are now pretty available, we're talking 3 orbitals for both parties, and maybe they would be muling now. They know they need scans. I'm not sure it's going to last. The Raven doing a great job taking out this tank. There we go. Another tank. Well, this one should shoot. Yeah, it should shoot. But that's only 2 tanks right now for HeRoMaRinE. Where's the rest of his army? He's got army off to the left side. He's actually going to go for a big old concave. He's going to go for a sandwich. But I think he needed those Marines back here. Uh-oh. Or maybe he thought he was going to go for a drop, but then realized this is actually too much. Clem, changing things up a little bit, is looking a lot stronger in this game. Takes down another tank. And now HeRoMaRinE has revealed where his Marines are. He doesn't quite have combat shields. He's working on 1-1 in combat shields, things he desperately needs to hold on. He might even have to pull the SCVs. Now would be the fantastic time to pick up 8 Marines and medevac and try and attack from behind. He's going to go for it. The orbital has been lifted. The SCVs are not going to be pulled. He's just anticipating. This is weird. The tanks actually aren't close at all. What is he doing? Wait, what? I guess he doesn't know that. He doesn't have a scan. Wait, what? Oh my god. This is actually kind of awkward. This is straight up awkward. Raven dives for an auto turret. HeRoMaRinE might be down 20 army supply, but he is going to catch these tanks. Is he going to all in? What? Okay, no. Yeah, he broke his SCVs back. It's so awkward, but the Marines have caught more than a couple of tanks. They've caught the Marines as well. Going to catch them. Maybe the Vikings, maybe the Raven would be an excellent pickoff. Not quite going to find it, but these Vikings are behind, are in the wrong place, as well as this portion of the army is also in the wrong place. Suddenly, HeRoMaRinE actually ahead in army supply with better upgrades, and now has that map control. What a funky defense. That just looked weird. That looked awkward. I felt awkward. It was like secondhand embarrassment right there. I don't know what that was. Usually when you see the lift off in the natural, it's because they're willing to pull the SCVs and they don't want to have them awkwardly go around the command center, but whatever, regardless. It might have been awkward, but it did go in favor of HeRoMaRinE, who has that concave. He's got the tank sieged up, but does he actually have the numbers? I don't think he does. With the SCV pull from Clem, Clem is the one that's going to be cleaning this up, and only a single tank and a handful of Marines will be saved. Oh, jeez. Yep. Clem now up 20 supply. He's going to have combat shields now as well. He is still missing +1 armor. So HeRoMaRinE still has that upgrade lead. But HeRoMaRinE took a very long time to actually replace everything. He might have replaced his natural about as fast as he could have, although the SCVs did not get returned to mining for a while. His third CC, I don't know if he... It felt like he had to all in. Did he misremember if he had a third CC or not? I don't know, but it's only just now down and saturating. So a 4th base is a ways away. Clem opening this up a bit differently has really worked out. Please don't do the thing here, HeRoMaRinE. Please do not find these medevacs. That would just be too fucking unfair. No, my god. What the shit? Oh my god! What? Stop it! I mean, at least you didn't kill him, but... Can't find it. It's not fair. He stops a big old Doom drop into his main, but that's actually not even his only problem. It would have been a problem, absolutely. It's great that he stopped that triple medevac drop into his main, but he needs to do more than that. He really actually needed to kill those medevacs, and then, I don't know, do his own drop into the main. Now, TvT, weird thing that can happen is that when you get to a certain number of tanks, usually, a certain supply, you are probably safe from dying. You're still behind, but you're safe from dying. So, if HeRoMaRinE can get to like 150, 160-ish supply with a decent number of tanks, he's not just losing tanks left and right, then it's still anyone's game. But now Clem, with a much better economy, a much faster 4th base, can not only max out faster and start pressuring HeRoMaRinE, he can also add on starports, and that is the real kill move. If HeRoMaRinE can't break out onto the map before Clem gets to Liberator Viking, HeRoMaRinE will lose. This double drop off to the right, it's not going to do very much, honestly. The planetary is there, but it's at least getting some positioning out in that map. Scan reveals the entirety of the army is moving forward. HeRoMaRinE is setting up one of the biggest surrounds, potentially, that I've seen. Clem sees the forward army, but doesn't see the left and right side. Okay, maybe he does, maybe he does. Okay, now it's been revealed. HeRoMaRinE would love to have gotten that Liberator. That would have helped out a little bit. The now double drop, headed off to that planetary. Oh, that's what I was pointing out. It's not actually doing a whole lot there. It's an easy pick off as an orbital, but so far, HeRoMaRinE is holding. He's actually bridged the supply gap, but he still needs to get to a 4th base, and that's going to be difficult to do. Yeah, any right side attack is going to be difficult to actually do something. Like Liberators of HeRoMaRinE. Trying to take out a Viking is so awkward. He's going to try and get 2 Vikings. Clem doesn't have any Vikings of his own. Finds, unfortunately, the Marines that were just like back home. They weren't going to do very much where they were, but they definitely didn't have to die. And he's actually really struggling to take out this Liberator because of the little doodad here. Doodad's such an amazing word. HeRoMaRinE is bleeding. He's bleeding off those tanks I said were so important. Another one goes down, but he should be able to eventually push us back. I mean, the Vikings of Clem took a while to get here. Now they're here. Oh, the big concave, the big surround. HeRoMaRinE coming in from 270 sides. He's actually on top of the tanks on the high ground. And from the bottom, he is losing the Marine Wars. Clem has such a good lead in supply that it is not going to matter how good that surround was. GG. Clem takes a map. Way to take a map, my buddy. Man, way to take a map. That was a very awkward defense, though. Both on the natural base account and even that last fight. I thought he was gonna clean up that Liberator a bit faster than he did. But now the most awkward thing that happened was that one attack on the natural. The first attack. I don't... He did run out of scans, so it's possible he just thought the tanks would already be there, hitting his natural, and that's why he picked it up. Or, alternatively, he was like, yeah, I'm going to pull the SCVs, and then went, wait, no, I don't want to pull the SCVs, so he just had an awkward flying command center. I don't know. This is eerily familiar. The last time Clem was able to take a map, it was Game 3, and then Game 4 was on Submarine. And they both one-based Marauder Hellion dropped each other. Or two-base, sorry, two-base. But, I mean, very, very fast attack. It is two-base with, you know, 4 SCVs on that second base. I don't think they'll do it again. Although I would love it. In the bottom right of Submarine, it is HeRoMaRinE. And in the top left, as the Red Terran, he is Clem. Time will tell if they do something one-basey. I think Submarine is a very risky map to do a one-rack expand on. You can, but you do have to consider a lot of things. So, faster bunker. The Reaper hop-up spot. As well as over here. And any Viking tank push they do is also pretty obnoxious on this map. I would say less than it's not really about the Reaper Hellion stuff. That's mostly taken care of just by anticipating it and knowing what to do against it. I would say what really sucks about Submarine is the Marine tank pushes. So if you try and play a bit greedy, and by greedy I mean like a mostly normal TvT, they can be pretty brutal to actually hold against. So it's HeRoMaRinE going for the 1-Rax expand. Clem has done 1-Rax expands on this map as well, but Clem, again, mixing it up a bit, going for the factory expand. HeRoMaRinE's gonna have to, okay. So this is probably the safest option, right? Like, again, theoretically you can low ground 1-Rax expand, but it's pretty dangerous. So the command center on the high ground. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of funky to always do this. It's always funky to do this. As the command center... I guess the sacrifices you make with the command center on the high ground is worth not losing the game straight up. Because a snowball can happen when it's on the low ground. But... whether you're halting SCV production to build a bunker just a bit quicker... or putting your high ground command center... on the high ground, rather, like... They both kind of dig into your economy. They dig into the 1-Rax expand factor. Anyways. It's not actually worth discussing too much. I would say. It's so much more important is what they do with their units. Pro gamers would say that every little detail counts in that opener, but... while they do, and they set up worse or better or worse scenarios, like... we all know that a lot of the time, Starcraft, even with a perfect game, suddenly becomes very imperfect. Very similar setup of units. HeRoMaRinE does not have an extra Reaper. He actually had on his Factory 2 reactor, which is another safe way to follow up a 1-Rax expand. But, yeah, because his command center was on the high ground, it just feels like... I don't know. Clem has already done damage just by... I mean, funnily enough, Clem didn't even have to go for a factory expand to do this damage. HeRoMaRinE just assumed that he would. Never got any scouting done. But, regardless. Clem is not really falling behind because he was later to the expansion, because this is on location. There you go. Raven coming out for Clem. HeRoMaRinE going for a Liberator is going to go for some serious harassment. He's taking so many Hellions that if the bunker wasn't here, this could be a straight up disaster for Clem. Even with the bunker, he gets to lose a lot of SCVs. And if the Hellions don't do a lot of damage, hopefully they distract for the Liberator to do a lot of damage. Now this takes a lot of minerals away from your otherwise, your production that should be on the way usually in TvT. Getting into those better units like tanks or even a Cyclone is a better unit. Getting into a Raven, like, it's not a small amount of minerals dumped into these Hellions. And they very quickly become worse units. Scanner builds a bunker and a tank on the high ground too. HeRoMaRinE's best bet is to just distract and get Liberator damage, I think. It's just too good of a setup. So now he's got 8 Hellions, 800 minerals that aren't going to do a lot, it looks like. So that's a command center much faster. 8 Hellions don't even provide an army, whereas maybe 8 Marines, or 16 Marines, I guess, right, would have added to the army later on in the TvT. It is a bit of an awkward opener for HeRoMaRinE, but I guess there's always that chance that 8 Hellions in 2 minutes still kill 20 SCVs. Liberator gets a couple of shots off, but Clem already getting their revenge. 4 SCVs go down there. And a Marine. And a scout in the main base. Nicely done. Liberator still sticking around, and Hellions gonna go back on their, I guess, scouting mission at this point. They're not really gonna be doing very much else. Both of them on their way to a third CC already, but Clem has started up that stim already. So that'll be in his advantage. Just a little bit of scouting from Clem with his Hellion. I mean, when all is said and done, it looks quite even, but do remember, when things go down, that HeRoMaRiNE's army supply is going to have 8 Hellions in an army supply. They're not that useful, even against Marines. Well, actually, it's very situational, isn't it? Like, they could still be helpful. Marines without combat shields, right? Could happen here. Could be attacked. And they could line up pretty badly. That could happen. But, yeah, the Hellions aren't supposed to do very well against this. Clem has 2 more tanks than his opponent. And the thing he has to be most fearful of are these Hellions running by, which, yeah, is a very legit fear. But if he did push across the map, he wouldn't have a bad attack at all. And there you go. So Clem has to be careful. This is like all of his army now moving out. So he scans ahead even to see if there's an army waiting, as well as are those Hellions trying to go around me and get into my natural and third mineral line. Literally, all I needed was 15 more, not even 15 more seconds, 5 more seconds to get any units out, and his Hellion defense is already so much better. Look, he's already landed his Vikings, because he knew this is what HeRoMaRiNE had to do. Clem is in a really nice position, honestly. And, both, like, before this literal position and this literal position is very good for Clem. HeRoMaRiNE, I think he's about to bleed twice. I don't know. The Hellions come back, and they don't even do a great job of distracting the tanks. That was just him bringing them back. The Ravens trying to win that Viking war, I think, do... Oh, no, they don't. They don't. I thought those were blue for some reason. That was me. That was on me. The Ravens of HeRoMaRiNE didn't quite win that battle, but it looks like with his faster production of Vikings, he will win the air war eventually. So he could try and pop out a Liberator to help push this back. There's not a whole lot of Marines and stop that from happening. But it's going to be tough, because if he builds a Liberator, he's not building a second Viking. And he's not going to anything else really help out. No, a single Cyclone's going to help a little bit. Nicely done, my dude. And this is a barely hold, I would say. It's a barely hold. And the Viking even gets AI a little too far forward. HeRoMaRiNE. Lose tanks. That natural CC is on fire. He's trying to repair it now, but he has lost the Viking war. He doesn't be able to produce Vikings. That was his problem, actually. He's limited on gas. He's gonna lose another tank to the left. This tank here is actually awkwardly just running into the army, and HeRoMaRiNE, I don't know how he handles this. I don't know what he does. This is awkward, and more awkward, but so is Clem a little bit, being a little too far forward with his Marines. Loses a lot of buffer, and has yet to reinforce. 4 tanks is actually something that HeRoMaRiNE could absolutely take care of if he pulled the SCVs. He would lose 10 SCVs, I think, but he could. But he doesn't know that. Good scan there. So now it's 3 tanks. Now he's going to see the reinforcements, though, and I think he's maybe going to realize he missed a timing. He missed an opportunity. HeRoMaRiNE also, with 1-1 upgrades. Oh, it doesn't have combat shields, though. Ah, okay. No, maybe not. In this situation, I think combat shields is more important than 1-1 upgrades, but... good scan again. 1 tank goes down. Clem looked like he was about to win. When he was actually moving into this natural, firing upon the command center, I was like, oh no. But they both made some mistakes, honestly. They both lost sight on tanks. They both let AI take control of some of their units. They both have made mistakes. HeRoMaRiNE holds. And he has had better mining than his opponent for a little while. I mean, 77 SCVs doesn't really have efficient mining right now, but he's always had more SCVs than his opponent. Oh, I was wrong. Clem's actually doing it. Regardless. Oh, because he had to lift this, of course. Yeah, he lifted it and whatever. Regardless, HeRoMaRiNE is in a okay position. What was a very frightening position is now turned into an okay position. He needs to get those barracks counts up. Actually, he's already on to his 7th barracks. I thought those were his 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Opportunity was there to grab a tank, and Clem took it. Trades out a couple of Marines. He does have combat shields, so he has a little more flexibility against the tanks of his opponent. HeRoMaRiNE was ahead in upgrades, but it's actually now fallen behind. As I think gas has been a problem for him at every single turn. in large part because the natural has been not mining a lot. A scan reveals the army movement to the right side. It's going to delay a gas, which, as I just pointed out, is kind of important. The Vikings are plentiful for HeRoMaRinE, though, so Clem got to use those scans, and it's not like he's on 7 orbitals, so we could see him run out, as I don't know if this is actually as abusive of a position as he thought it would be, and there you go, yeah, it's like, actually, no, I can't really do anything there. Just pulls back. He also has to pull back, not just because nothing was going to be done, but because he doesn't want to let the middle of the map go to HeRoMaRinE, but I think more importantly, while the middle of the map is actually gone to HeRoMaRinE, Clem has gotten into HeRoMaRinE's main base. It's not that big of a drop, though. It really isn't. HeRoMaRinE's tiny little army, sharking around for reinforcements, is found by the might of Clem's full-on army and is forced to retreat. Maybe he can pick up, go to his own main. Honestly. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be terrible. There we go. There we go. Goes to his third base. It was awkward. Yeah. Clem is repositioned to a stronger area around that third, as well as still keeping track on a straight-up push down the middle. It's surprising, but a lot of times Submarine games are won because no one was checking the middle. 2-2 is done for Clem. HeRoMaRinE about 30 seconds away from that. Clem's also investing into tank upgrades, and those upgrades affect the splash as well, so they're actually pretty good. Clem feeling confident as he sets down his 4th CC. He's already adding on 2 starports. Now that might be a little bit too quick. That might be a little bit too bold, as he has not acquired a bank yet, and his 4th is only just now coming down, and he clearly isn't straight up winning the game. Like, he isn't just going to win all of a sudden, right? In fact, things could turn very sour very fast. So it is a bit bold to already invest your hard-earned minerals into those starports when you have to still worry about the Marine tank phase. But investing, it's good, right? Clem learns how to invest in Starcraft. Hopefully he learns how to invest in the real world. It might pay off. It might. But maybe not as much as a big old drop into the main of HeRoMaRinE again. He almost had his medevacs to go see that, then didn't. Now he's focused on the right side. He scans and sees a puny army and is not always thinking about it. He's like, oh no. Well, he also saw the sensor tower. Oh no. Oh, jeez. TvT, am I right, y'all? Some Vikings will pop out. A tank might help, but the command center is probably going to go down. In the middle of the map, Clem has to be careful with his army. He's got 2 tanks anchoring this drop, which actually isn't that big of a deal. But HeRoMaRinE is going to be forced to, like, lift barracks and re-siege, and it's going to be very obnoxious. Speaking of re-sieging, a single tank was all that was really defending that planetary, so it does go down. But the planetary itself is pretty strong. Finally, the main base is cleaned up without having to lift too much production. Doesn't quite grab that one medevac. That would have been nice, especially as it heads into his 3rd. 1 tank is out of range to protect these SCVs, and HeRoMaRinE is actually now focused entirely on deflecting this tank push. The Liberators is very, 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 very good, but it's targeting the Marines down to the tanks. So the Marines do take care of that, and 3 tanks still hold on to this choke. The SCVs over here were pulled away finally, but this is a very awkward game. It's not awkward, it's just a very hectic game, as TvT should be. The power of medevacs right there, ladies and gentlemen. That 2-2. Those 2 Marines were doing really well. Tanks still in that choke. It's going to be very obnoxious to be forced to leave. I mean, they should leave eventually because they don't have much else going for them except that position, but Clem is trying to reinforce that. HeRoMaRinE is hanging on. It is all about Clem. The smallness of the map really does mean that one person has momentum. They usually keep momentum. HeRoMaRinE needs to find a way to not just hold on, but also to break out a little bit. Force Clem to be more on the defensive. But it's a difficult thing to do. The Viking numbers are pretty extreme. I think HeRoMaRinE realizes how this game is going to go. Tanks on the far top portion. Oh, God. Sorry, my bad. Tanks behind those rocks. I don't know if HeRoMaRinE actually saw that. I was so worried about it being a disaster. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to put it. Whoop. Okay. All right. Calm down. Woo, okay. All right. We're good. We're good. Yeah. Chokes all around a submarine, right? So if you miscalculate how many tanks as you go up a ramp, go up a choke, it's going to be really bad for you. But while that looked a little bit scary, HeRoMaRinE did pull back in time. He's actually even pushed Clem a little bit farther away from his bases, so it's no longer a constant struggle to defend. There's a little more flexibility. The tank siege of HeRoMaRinE is pretty late. He's trying to get a bit of a concave going, but his marine count's looking quite low, and he actually just taps out. Well, shit. Alright. I thought he was stabilizing, but he was not. Realizing that fight was going too poorly, taps out, and now we have a tied series on the game 5. Oh my god. Didn't think we'd get this far, but Clem, he's no casual. He's no scrub. Brings it to game 5 versus HeRoMaRinE. Tied 2 apiece on Everdream, their final map. In the top right, as the Blue Terran defending his honor, defending his Open Cup. It is HeRoMaRinE. In the bottom left, as the Red Terran, he is Clem. And he wants to take the throne. He hasn't been nearly as dominant in the cups. He'll lose in the finals. He'll also lose in the semifinals. He's even occasionally lost in the round of 8, although that is pretty rare. I think that happened last week against Hearthstone. But it doesn't matter now. All that matters is that he's in game 5 against HeRoMaRinE. Looking strong. Doing good things. And now it's the real test. Can you actually do it? Doesn't matter if it's close, it matters who actually wins. HeRoMaRinE's gonna go for a 2 racks opener. Really changing it up. Now, HeRoMaRinE has taken many opportunities to not SCV scout. Because he's done factory expands, you don't really have to SCV scout, but even when he went for a 1 rack expand, he didn't bother SCV scouting. Clem, I'm not sure, has been making that same choice every time. He has done at least a few SCV scouts, and once again, he will be doing it. So it gets a little complicated because you don't know if they're going for a factory expand or if it's a second barracks right now. If Clem had done one of the fastest SCV scouts he could have done, then he'd already be in here and seeing it, but he'd also be trapped. So in this case, he doesn't know. Now, we'll see if this actually snowballs. Clem, it still would be his prerogative to actually build a bunker and take this seriously, take this defensively, because he knows his opponent at the very least is factory expanding. It is a 2 rack expand, I guess. So, as long as he plays defensively, and I mean like high ground usage, not going out in the middle of the map, prepared to pull the Reaper back and then pull SCVs into it, these Reapers shouldn't snowball a ton, but if they get maybe like 4 or 5 SCVs, then it'll be a pretty okay opener. Make that 6 or 7 SCVs. Uh-oh. Oh my god, he actually catches. Oh, Clem with the instant reaction. Oh my god, I would have just been like, oh, I'm dead. He actually brought it down to the low ground. Woo! Alright, well, this is the damage that HeRoMaRinE wants to get. This Reaper is still very, very weak. It comes in, throws a grenade, and goes, I'm helping. We are welcome, guys. Marine's about to pop out, but a 3rd Reaper shows up. Clem was just totally not anticipating this, and while he did a good job of saving his Reaper, it was at the... like, he got the last possible scout. That was a big surprise for him. He almost lost the Reaper, and that without the Reaper, like, there's so much more micro ability for HeRoMaRinE. With the Reaper, Clem can do a lot of things with his own grenade. HeRoMaRinE loses one of his Reapers, has to be very scared of the Hellion, but a Concave is going to work out well for him, especially with a 4th Reaper on the way. Now, finally, he is stopping building Reapers, but he grabs the Hellion. Going to go up that ramp, even with a weak Reaper, loses one of them. Another one very, very weak. I don't think he can do it, so he's going to be forced to go around, and Clem's going to have more time to pop out that Hellion, so he should be good now. Unfortunately, it looks like HeRoMaRinE has already done enough damage. The worker count is looking so hot as HeRoMaRinE finishes up his own command center. Oh, it's only halfway done. We'll see if that gap closes soon. HeRoMaRinE has an 8 worker lead. Oh wait! Oh my God, that's his 3rd. Oh no! Okay, well yeah. I guess Clem's in a lot of trouble then. How many SCVs did he kill? Did he just stop making SCVs? Oh, okay, he killed 6 SCVs. That doesn't make sense. 6 SCVs, and then he was building Hellions when he probably wanted to stop. I think his orbital had to be delayed as well to build an Hellion, if I'm not mistaken. It was pretty late as far as the natural orbital goes. That's why I thought HeRoMaRinE's building command center was his natural. I was like, oh, well, Clem's orbital's already only just now finishing. I was wrong about that. So this is bad. This is not great. Down 10 workers. HeRoMaRinE with the 3rd orbital halfway done. A good boy. That's not good. HeRoMaRinE might have lost his Reapers, but they did a lot of damage. I mean, 6 SCVs alone isn't a lot of damage. I think if they killed 6 SCVs but they instantly died, I think it's like not that big of a deal. It's good, but whatever. Because Clem doesn't have to worry about them going back on his main. He doesn't have to chase them around. He doesn't have to build those Hellions. But with everything else that happened, it is a big deal. And now he has to get some serious revenge, and maybe he will be able to. The Cyclone once luck onto the medevac, but Marines are doing a good job of guarding that. SCVs are pulled into this with the Marines' help. It should be okay, but 7 SCVs have gone down. That is a bit of a return there. Yet HeRoMaRinE still is up 6 workers. I mean, Clem got in there, killed SCVs, but you know what else? He saw a 3rd CC already done. That's not good. I think Clem, if he micros very well and is constantly applying pressure, could maybe bring the game back. But HeRoMaRinE just scans right now and sees no 3rd CC, so if he assumes to know that that means that a 3rd CC is not in location, but that it has not been built, it is up to him to just not ever take any risks. Just carefully, slowly take your own 3rd, get spotters out there, prepare for a drop. Yeah, you're good. Clem is going to grab a 3rd, but I would have... He's in a difficult position. I think he maybe would want to risk putting that on location, but he does not. So at least he'll get up 100%. HeRoMaRinE up 14 workers now. Mining from a 3rd very soon. He's going to spot this attack a little bit late, though. A little bit late. Clem's stim isn't even done. That's actually HeRoMaRinE's stim. Ooh, a bit awkward. That tank on the high ground is beautiful. The Liberator siege up is very good as well, and HeRoMaRinE just didn't realize where the army was. He thought he knew what the army entailed, and he did not. Misjudgment is going to force him to lift off his 3rd CC. Good lock onto that Liberator. It's barely going to be safe. Yikes. But HeRoMaRinE, while maybe a little bit miffed, he had to lift that 3rd CC. Should still be feeling very confident. He's going to have combat shields much faster than his opponent. He's got upgrades. He can click on the Marines and see no upgrades for a long time for Clem, as Clem can't even afford the engineering base. Clem needs to keep this up. Like, I don't know if he can do more damage with it, but if he can just keep this up and keep HeRoMaRinE focused on this, then... And not mining from his 3rd CC, right? Like, that's actually really good. Finally, one Marine literally tapped the Liberator. Also reveals that HeRoMaRinE might be setting up for a concave, which I think would win him the battle. I do believe. I do declare. Even catching this one tank. Or not. Ooh, okay, that's another tank added to Clem's defense. Clem's trying to size up how he takes care of this potential concave. and decides to just evacuate or not. Just kidding. Rescans and then goes back in. I don't know if that was the right move. Clem, I don't know about this. I think evacuation might have been the right call. The concave of HeRoMaRinE with his upgrades, with his combat shields is so good. And even an anti-armor missile, because why not? Clem plummets in that army supply and just taps out. GG. HeRoMaRinE is still too good.